My name is Nordia Johnson, and I have the privilege of getting us started this afternoon. Why are we here? We are here to talk about RISE opportunities. We're here to educate you about what these are and how you can get involved, and perhaps most importantly, how they can change your experience here at Stockton. So these Osprey's R.I.S.E Fred Talks is rooted in the acronym RISE. That acronym stands for Research, International Education, Service Learning, and Experiential Learning. So you're going to be hearing from folks who have engaged in all four of these areas. You're going to hear about how it changed their trajectory here at Stockton or how it confirmed their interest. And then you're going to hear about how you can make that happen for you as well. So I urge you to listen up, get engaged, ask them some great questions, and enjoy your time with us this afternoon. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first speaker this evening, who is Resident Assistant Irene Igby. Excellent. Thank you so much, Irene.
Hi, my name's Irene, and I'm going to be going through the resident assistant slides. So that's me and my friend Julie. We're both RAs. This is from last spring during our little end of the year party. I'm just gonna go a bit over who I am. I'm a resident assistant, obviously. My major is biology with a concentration in pre-professional studies and a minor in dance. They work pretty well together. I'm also the vice president of Senate. You can check out their table at the Get Involved Fair. And I'm also vice president of the gaming club. They're also gonna be at the Get Involved Fair if you wanna check them out. So on to the main subject. What is a resident assistant? So a resident assistant is a student in charge of a certain housing area. They help to create a community among their residents as well as enforce the rules and guidelines of residential life. Some of the things we do are making bulletin boards for the area we're in charge of. I'm in Housing 1, so I have another RA in my court, and we work together on those. We also help with residential issues, like if there needs to be a mediation, if roommates are having conflicts, any lockouts that happen. We also run programs, pretty much monthly. I had one on Sunday that was called Roomly Wed, based on Candace from my freshman year doing that event. It was pretty fun, a lot of people came out. And you should probably make sure to go to them because they're a lot of fun and you could get free food or prizes and meet other students on campus. I think my favorite memory of doing resident assisting is having True Life this year. We didn't have it last year because of COVID, but it's a way for the freshmen to learn a bit more about things they can do on campus to be safer, have fun, and get used to like college life. And being an RA has helped me to meet other people on campus that are also striving to do their best. And I think that's it for this time. Okay, how do you become a resident assistant? Well, every fall, there's an application that you can fill out. If you scan the QR code, it takes you to this website where you submit the application. I think it opens in October, I'm not completely sure. It's usually due in November. And you're going to need to submit a resume, cover letter. There are some questions you need to answer, as well as recommendations from a professor or friend or anyone. You just need to submit, I think, 2 or 3. That's it. So yeah, that's all I had for my section. If you guys have any questions, you can ask me now or stop by the residential life offices at A100 on this side of campus, Lakeside on the other side, and the AC residential office, 9 to 5. on to the next person.
Hello everyone, my name is Baltine Pham, and I'll be discussing with you about Stockton University Bonner Program and why you should become a Bonner leader. And so, as a start, what is a Bonner leader? A Bonner leader, to give a quick explanation, is a student health position within the Stockton University Office of Community Engagement and Service Learning. That, in the essence of the office missions and goals, focus on supporting nearby communities and the people that live with it and struggle along with it. As a Bonner leader, you're given a wealth of information, resources, and opportunities to help those in need. And in return, you'll get experience that will lead you to obtain leadership skills and leadership positions within your community. Some of the basic tasks and common participants that Bonner leaders often participate in include, but not limited to, helping professional staff with their various tasks, doing weekly office hours, volunteering at various community events and partnerships, opportunities, and as well as joining in Bonner program various Friday meetings. And so, because of the responsibilities and expectation of being a Bonner leader, the office will give you a wealth of opportunities and benefits that will help you through your hours. And so what are these benefits and perks? And so as a Bonner leader, you're giving perks include but not limited to federal work study, which is a financial stipend for the amount of hours you work paid by the college to you to offset the hours that you work for them volunteer. Others include access of our community partners' connections, access to various opportunities to serve and volunteer in and out of campuses. You will get access to our professional development series, such as workshops as resume building and how to do an effective resume building and interviews, job taking. Scholarships are also one of the options you can apply for. Several students have gotten it, and I'm actually on my way to apply for one of these scholarships for my service learning project. But most importantly, one of my favorites actually is that simply by becoming a Bonner leader is a great way to build resume early on, because the position is a long-term commitment to your community, services, volunteer, and engagement. In fact, because of my leadership position within the Bonner program, I was able to obtain multiple internship positions simply because I stood out among other candidates. So examples of internships I was able to get include the New Jersey Department of Criminal Justice Law and undergraduate internship program, and the Atlantic County Prosecutor Office internship program, all through essentially my services and I work in my community. And so, what are some examples of the services that the Bonner program did in the past? We often do book donation drive. This took place on Make a Difference Day 2019, where there was a host of different events. And one of the events I participated in was the book donation, where throughout the semester we collected donated books. And at the event, we gathered all of them, shipped it to our community partners for it to be used. We often do community garden events where a group of Bonner or volunteers will go into Stockton University community garden and help out with maintenance, resow the plants, and plant new flowers and trees and vegetables. In partnership with the Eastern Service Workers Association in Atlantic County and certainly near Galloway, we often do clothes drives that are for the needy. And I also won the event that I led. And one of the latest actually occurred last week for the New Day of Service is the Eastern Service Workers Association clothing and food drive, which I think Cass participated in as well. And so, if you're interested, to find out more or find our application page, it's quite actually really easy to find. If you have access to the internet, go to Google and search up Stockton University Bonner Leader. We will be the first or second option labeled as Student Leadership Opportunities, Stockton University. If you click on that, it will take you a page where it will give you several green options, and if you choose the green option, as shown, apply to become a Bonner Leader, you'll be taken to our application page in Google form. However, if you don't want to apply or you want more information, simply visit us at our office at F101 for more information. However, keep in mind that application process is ending on the 24th. So, thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice day.
Hi everyone, can you hear me? Okay, so my name is Alicia Barboza. I'm a first-gen Latina. This is my junior year at Stockton University. And this is also, I've been a Talon since my second semester at Stockton, so I've been here for a while. I'm actually quite honored that I was one of the candidates chosen to speak on Talons. I'm very fond of Talons. It's a very big part of who I am as a Stockton student, so we don't have a presentation. It's just gonna be me and you having this conversation, okay? So, Talent is Transition Activity Leaders of New Students. Okay, so we help with the transition of students from going from college or wherever they're coming from. We also work with transfers and coming into our Stockton community. We do this through supporting them emotionally, socially, and even academically. So this happens through our orientation and registration over the summer, and then we also have Welcome Week over the summer, but it doesn't end there because we'll also see them in the fall for our mentoring. So we're always with them, we're always working with them, as well as the fact that we have this ongoing joke as Talons where we call ourselves Disney workers, because if you see us on campus and you see us working over the summer, we're usually the people that have so much energy, we're always smiling, we're always trying to find a solution. If we see a problem, we're gonna find a solution. So that's who we are. Another big thing about Talons is sometimes the fact that we're all very different in our community. So it might be hard to think maybe I won't fit in as a Talon because we seem to be very extroverted, but in fact, everyone is quite different. So once you take the Talons course, once you become a Talon, you're gonna understand how to be your best self for the students. So we learn college culture, we learn about retention rates, we learn how to create our campus to be the most diverse and culturally aware campus that it can be. So that's one of the best things that I was given as a Talon. And quite honestly, when I was a freshman, it was hard for me to find my place at Stockton because I didn't really see anybody who looked like me, either was in my class or in my dorms. But then once I took the Talons course and I met Dr. Edmondson and Dr. Johnson, and they were these powerful women. They were so unapologetic, and I was like, that's who I have to be at Stockton. I have to be an unapologetic Latina. And I was able to do that through Talons because now I'm just this assertive bilingual Talon, and I'm able to help so many students in that sense that I wouldn't be able to do that through, well, I think I wouldn't be able to do that if I wasn't a Talon. Like over the summer, I met this student, and after my presentation, she said, "You said your fun fact was you're Puerto Rican, so you speak Spanish?" And then once I told her yes, the look of relief over her face was something that I just never felt, like I was never experienced. And that's just one of the greatest things that I have ever felt. And even though we're all different, once we all combine together for our common goal, Talons are just this amazing dream team that I suggest everyone be a part of. Visit our table, talk to us. We're always posting, and you'll always see me repping Talons.
Hi, my name is Emily Alas. I participated in the Washington internship my spring 2021 semester. So I was a second semester junior at the time. Right now, I'm currently in the dual degree program at Stockton University. It's a fancy way of saying I'm getting my bachelor's and master's in 5 years. This is my first semester doing grad school. I'm getting used to it. But I'll talk to you about the Washington internship. So in sum, that is a great internship opportunity we have here at Stockton, where you get to go to Washington, D.C., live at our well, it's not ours, but it's a nice residential complex in Washington, and you get to, your entire semester is you are interning at a place where you want to be. And it's great, it's in the city. Unfortunately, my experience was all virtual, but it was still pretty awesome. So it all started for me at fall 2018. As my freshman year, I was in Professor Mulvihill's Intro to Criminal Justice class, and a representative came in and told me about the Washington internship, and I was like, I want to do that. Being in the dual degree program, it was a little bit more restrictive on when I can do it, but I was like, well, you know what, I'm going to do it, and I will make it happen. And I did make it happen, although it was virtually, but it was all okay. So I interned at Offender Aid and Restoration of Arlington, Virginia, and my responsibilities were being on the phone with newly released people who just got out of jail and prison, and I would help them find jobs and create resumes. So I was on the phone with them 24/7, helping them out in any step of the way that I could. And I realized most of my day I was being a therapist much rather than someone who was helping them find jobs. So this was my life being virtual. This is my dog, Scruffy. Throughout the time when I was on the phone, he just wanted my attention, and I would always tell my clients, if you hear my dog barking, it's okay, he just wants to say hi to everybody. And this little mindfulness slideshow, along with your responsibilities of being an intern, you do have to complete courses online with the Washington Center, and this was one of them. I love learning about wellness and learning how I can actually give myself some love, and that's actually really, really needed. And I took a picture of this because this is a 5 senses like grounding technique, so whenever you're feeling stressed or something, I highly recommend everybody do this. It's awesome. And one thing I did learn, although I was virtual, was that there are challenges within this internship, and one of the things I dealt with was feeling somewhat left out because I was not physically there in the office. But I had an awesome supervisor. He answered my questions 24/7 because a lot of the stuff I was like, how do I handle this? How can I help this client who's currently crying? How can I do this? And he walked me through it, and I trust my gut, and I made it through it as well. And some days were hard than others because every client's different, every single day is different. I did have hard conversations, and I did find my way to overcome them and really feel okay after the end of each conversation. If some conversations were hard, my thing was, well, I'm home, so I put in some music, I started dancing and singing, and that got my spirits up, and I was ready to give the next person my all. And you know, there were some clients who, unfortunately, it was really hard for them to find a job, and I'm sure everyone goes through that now. Like, it's hard finding a job, especially with COVID around. But some did, and my favorite story, I had this one client who, when I first met him, he was really just not in a good headspace, and he really needs someone to pick him up. And I was that person for him. And his main goal was to get an ID, and it was so hard for him to just obtain an ID. Every single door was closing on him, and he just felt like everyone was against him. But he persevered, and he made it through. And I can gladly say, after ending my internship, he got his ID, he got a social security card, he was already training to have a job, and he was awesome. That was one that it was really hard to say goodbye to. But those little conversations I had made it all worthwhile, and the Washington internship really showed me where I want to be. So my interest is working with inmates specifically and helping them transition back into, you know, regular life and just being there for them. If I can be an ear to listen, just an ear to listen, I'll do that. Or if you need my advice, I will do that too. And I couldn't have done that without being in the Washington internship. And it really just exposes you to real life situations, and it's overall an awesome experience that I recommend to anyone. And if you are interested in it, you can talk to Professor Rodriguez. He is awesome. I was on Zoom with him constantly, freaking out over my million questions that I had for him, and he was great. He's tabling, and I highly recommend talking to him. You will be placed in an area of your interest. So my interest is offender rehabilitation. Your interest could be something completely different. You could not even be interested in criminal justice. You will find a place, and believe me, it is worthwhile. So that's my little story.
That's how we're all doing today. We're all doing good? So I would like to introduce myself. My name is Hashim Smith Johnson. I'm from the class of 2019, which feels so long ago, so I feel like a Stockton artifact. ever since seeing all the students on campus. So I'm currently an admissions recruiter in the Office of Admission Services, and today I would like to tell you how to choose study abroad. So I was afforded the opportunity to go to study abroad in South Africa, the South Africa Now tour, and it was like a life-changing experience due to me not knowing anything about study abroad from my freshman year. So I'm the first generation college student, let alone first generation high school graduate. So when I came into Stockton University, I didn't know what study abroad was. I just thought it was like me doing more studying over time. So as time went by at Stockton, I began to hear about it and hear the noise and the positive feedback about study abroad. So I just took that first step and went to a study abroad orientation, the informational, and that's where I found out that my program, my minor program, I was an Africana Studies minor. So I found out that they have the study abroad program for that. So I decided to do the study abroad for South Africa. And throughout the semester, we did a class where we learned more about South Africa, specifically Johannesburg and Cape Town. So we learned about the water crisis that's over there right now. We learned about the protest in 1970. We learned about the AIDS pandemic in the 80s. We learned about many of the disparities that these people faced over in that country. And we did weekly journals, and we watched many different videos. So it was way different than a traditional study abroad program. So many of them usually do like throughout the whole semester. This one was a class throughout the semester and 3 weeks after the semester of the trip. So the class was nothing like the trip. The class was great, but the trip was up here. The trip was greater. So when we went over there, we went immediately to Cape Town, and Cape Town is beautiful. The visuals, the aesthetics, everything. It's such a rich culture, and I got to eat so many different foods. So I ate springbok, that's like some type of deer. I got to eat a lot of lamb, a lot of bugs, a lot of goat. There's many different things that I try new things. So I made sure I didn't limit myself in this experience. So we also went to Kruger National Park. We did a lot of zip lining. We did a lot of walking to museums. We got to be one with the civilians. We got to learn the things about this culture and not just be tourists. We also went to Johannesburg. So that's where we learned more about Nelson Mandela and Pretoria. So I got to go to Nelson Mandela's house, his childhood home, his adulthood home, and we got to go to the place where he was a prisoner. And that's where I found out how big Nelson Mandela really is. Over in America, in the Western Hemisphere, Nelson Mandela, we just look at him as like an icon, an international icon. However, when I went over there, this man's face was everywhere. So I really got to learn how popular he was, the many things that he'd done, the many obstacles that he's faced, and the many different changes that he made for that country. So here, this is probably my favorite experience over there. So this is Table Mountain. I forget how tall it was. I think it was 10,000 feet. We just climbed the mountain, walked it, and when I tell you my calves were burning at the end of the day, I couldn't walk. I couldn't do any more walking. And these are all my classmates. These people came in as like just classmates, but by the end of the trip, these guys are like longtime friends, lifetime friends. And this is the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. Robert Barney. If you're ever able to have a conversation with him, he is great. He did a lot of community service and like projects in South Africa. He married a South African woman, and we actually got to meet his family over in South Africa. So we got to try new foods and everything. So we got to learn the authentic culture over there. So what I could tell to you guys is to take that extra step, learn about study abroad. Do not do what I did and wait till my senior year. Do it as soon as you get on campus, your freshman year, sophomore year. Go to the informationals. And if you don't want to do that, go on the Stockton.edu webpage and go to the search bar and type in study abroad, and you will find out a lot of the different tours that we take. So I know about the Italy program. We have an Iceland program this year. We had Spain, Tokyo. So there's many different places that you could travel other than South Africa. And I just wanted you guys to know about this. So choose to rise with study abroad and discover the rest of the world. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I was nervous to give this speech So I ran this speech by the League of Women Voters outside. So please register to vote. My name is J.R. Shah. I'm a biology major, and I'm a senior graduating in December of 2021. I chose research because it progresses humankind scientifically, and because it is very motivating to discover something brand new, something no one else has discovered. Before I served in the United States Army, and I'm currently a nurse working at Royal Suites Healthcare and Rehabilitation Center, and I would like to pursue a career in medicine going forward. My experience doing research was one that showed me the true nature of research. Research requires patience. Also, an unknown amount of experimental work needed to attain effective results in science. I currently do research under the guidance of Professor Karen York. We are currently researching new antibiotics produced by soil bacteria. Antibiotics are used to treat bacterial infection and are sometimes misused or mostly overused. The effects of that are that infectious bacteria become more resistant to the current antibiotics that are available. Antibiotics are commonly used in raising cattle and poultry. And because of this use, the antibiotics have found their way into soil, rivers, and lakes, and are giving the bacteria a chance to build a resistance against them. If new antibiotics are not discovered, it is only a matter of time before our antibiotics currently used to fight infections will become ineffective. We as human race will have no answer to treat the antibiotic-resistant infections. In our research project, we test soil bacteria that produce antibiotics and then identify the metabolites produced to see if it was previously discovered or is actually something new. We use DNA sequencing to read the bacteria's genetic code and determine the identity of our soil bacteria, whether it is a new species or not. To get into research, I emailed Professor York. She was my professor for genetics class. And my advice to those that are trying to get into research is simple. Do well in your classes and email the professor of the class that you enjoy the most. You can also talk to your preceptor for any advice regarding research. They'll let you know of any professors that are currently doing research at the university. I believe that every student should do research. It should be mandatory. This will improve their appreciation of the information in our science textbooks that we take for granted. For example, in 1665, Robert Hooke published a book called Micrographia of drawings of microorganisms under a newly invented microscope. No one had ever seen these organisms before. Then in 1839, Theodor Schwann proposed the first two parts of the cell theory. The first part states that all organisms are made of cells. The second part states that cells are the basic units of life. That is 174 years later. Think about that. 174 years to get from one point to the next. And then finally, the third part, which asserts that cells come from pre-existing cells that have multiplied, was described by Rudolf Virchow in 1858. That took another 19 years. Now students read it in the first line of their textbooks and take the knowledge that took 200 some years to accumulate for granted. When you spend some time doing research, you appreciate the accumulated knowledge in textbooks and will not take the information for granted. It takes a lot of time in a lab to come up with one line of fact. Doing research is like looking for sunken treasure. You know it's there, but that's about it. You don't exactly know where to look. You start with what you have, and you build upon the rest. There's no set date or time when results will come. You just keep searching until you find clues as to where the sunken treasure is. Or as the scientists like to say, where the patents are. And at the end, I'll just say, choose to rise through research and change your life.
Thank you, Jay.
All right, so thank you to all of our Fred Talks presenters today for giving your time and your energy to be able to help promote these wonderful opportunities that we have on campus. For anyone who is trying to do that passport program, who has that strips of paper, I'm happy to be able to sign off on your attendance at the Fred Talks aspect so that you can be able to win some of those raffle prizes this evening. And outside that, please don't hesitate to stop by our tables that are on the other side of this wall. Many of them are helping to be able to connect you with the opportunities that you heard at these Fred Talks today and help you figure out how to get connected and pursue those passions. So thank you.